Welcome to the Family Recovery Conference. I am Shelly Young and I'm your host. I am so glad that you are here. I just want to take a moment to welcome you and to say thank you for showing up for your family in this way today. And I just ask you to just settle in, take a deep breath, connect with your heart, and let your body relax because we're going to take care of you. We're going to take care of you. I am a mother, just like many of you, and our life has been impacted by addiction. And I've been afraid and lonely and scared and afraid to reach out for help and really confused and really didn't know what to do when we were navigating active addiction with my child. And gratefully, happily, we are a family 3 years in sustained recovery. And what I understood as we were navigating this path was that I really needed more support, more education, more understanding, and more answers. And so I sought that out. I started to seek it out. And I sought out first help for myself because I didn't like the way I felt. And I didn't know how to properly care and treat active substance use disorder. I grew up in a family where alcohol use disorder was prevalent and you just didn't really treat it. It was mostly ignored and everyone found their own personal way to cope with the pain or the chaos or the anger or the resentment or, the collateral damage of living with someone in an active use disorder. So when it flared up with my son, we were not well equipped to really handle the situation. But I did understand. I understood why he was treating his pain the way he was. He'd experienced a very severe trauma with consecutive losses of 2 friends in car accidents, and they were people that he loved deeply, that we loved deeply, and so I understood why. But what I didn't know was how to shift or treat it properly. And he had the perfect storm of an environment that had always, allowed addiction to flourish, and then a genetic propensity for addiction, and then trauma. So all those things together, of course, this disease manifested. But all throughout the time that he was in active use and in treatment, we all knew that beautiful, loving soul was in there underneath the darkness of this use disorder and what it was doing to his brain and his body, and also that it was having an impact on our brains and our bodies. So I sought out help for myself originally, not really with the intention to fix anybody or change anybody, but just to change the way I felt. And I received proper care and treatment, which was therapy. I hired a spiritual coach, and I took really, exquisite care of my body, mind, and spirit. And I feel like during that first phase of that is what strengthened me and really shifted my perception around what was happening with my child. I remember the moment that I decided that I was going to learn everything I could about the brain and addiction and how it impacts individuals and how it impacts a family, so that I could be effective and help him. And the reason that I did that was because my daughter's best friend, who was 12 at the time, they were 12, and she was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And I was intimately involved in her care, her treatment process. I was there when doctors made their rounds, and I was there as part of the community of support for their family, and there as part of the spiritual support for their family. And I decided that I was going to treat my son's brain disorder the same way my friend was treating her daughter's brain tumor. And I was going to seek proper care and treatment. I was going to seek my community support, and I was going to seek spiritual support. And that was pivotal for us, because I went to my community and said, this is happening. This is happening in our family, and we need your help and we need your support. And they rallied around us the same way that they did for my daughter's friend's family. And when it came time for treatment, I asked for the same kind of, I had the language now because of the experience of being in the hospital, advocating with them, listening to them advocate for Amelia's care. And I remember there were moments that her mom and I would talk about our kids and what we were going through as their mothers, and we would cry because she'd say, I don't know if she's gonna make it, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I would look right back at her and say, I know exactly how you feel, because I don't know if he's going to make it either. And I don't know what I'm going to do. So together, we were navigating these very serious brain disorders or brain diseases, and I began to follow her lead. And it really helped. It really helped our family. It really helped my son, and it really helped me. So then I was able to come from a place grounded in science, grounded in compassion, grounded in love, and less from a fear-based mentality or a belief that this was a, moral failing or something other than a treatable medical disorder. So some of the beliefs that shifted and the beliefs that had to be held, we were conditioned to believe in our family that you didn't treat addiction. And we were conditioned by our culture and our society that this was a moral failing, or if they just had more church, or if they just behaved better, or we were better parents, or I was a better daughter, that this would improve. And we had to shift out of any sort of self-stigma, any sort of shame around what was happening, so that we could access proper care and treatment. And some of the beliefs that we hold and that we are holding for this conference are that addiction and substance use disorder is a disease. It is a treatable, preventable, chronic, potentially fatal is not a word, fatal disorder of the brain. And it needs proper care and treatment. We're also holding the belief that this is not a law enforcement issue. This is a health issue. And in your family, you have to remember that it is not a law enforcement issue. You do not treat a health issue with in a punitively. And we also hold that there are multiple pathways to recovery. There are multiple treatment paths, and that includes multiple treatment paths or multiple recovery paths for family members. So everybody creates and responds to their own treatment plan, and they are not all going to look the same, and that's okay. But that the goal is deep recovery, that the goal is health and well-being for your loved ones and for your whole family. We also are holding the truth and the belief that we meet people where they are. So while, you might be ready for the treatment phase, and your loved one is still in active use, by you activating treatment for yourself, you will draw them into treatment. So you can start wherever you are. And if your family member is in recovery and you haven't activated your recovery plan, I invite you to do that today, because it will be a very nourishing, healthy way to support your loved one with substance use disorder or in treatment or in recovery. We're also holding the belief that disease needs proper care and treatment. And proper care and treatment can look like a few things. It can look like a residential treatment program. It can look like therapy, recovery coaching. It can look like medication-assisted treatment. That is equally true for you as a family member. That is equally true for you as a family member. But that treatment is a stabilization period. And what needs to be stabilized for family members mostly is your mind, or for all, is your mind, body, and spirit. So recovery needs healthy spiritual health, emotional health, physical health, and mental health. So if you are a family member with a person with active use disorder, or with in treatment, or in early recovery or recovery, I am so glad that you're here. And I hope that what we offer you today will be like the deepest kind of medicine and will really shift your family into peace and well-being. In recovery, for me, I came to understand that I needed a spiritual practice, physical practice, emotional health, and mental health. And what that looked like for me was, on the spiritual side, I started on what was called the path of devotion. And the path of devotion is a way of spiritually regulating yourself. And so my spiritual practice every morning looks like this. I wake up and I light candles and I kneel down and I say prayers, and I say prayers for myself, and I say prayers for my family, and I say prayers for all of you and your health and well-being. The prayer starts with, may I be well, happy, and peaceful. May you be well, happy, and peaceful. May my children be well, happy, and peaceful. And I say that prayer every single morning. I also sit down and write out the things that I appreciate and am grateful for from the day before and for that day. Those are it could be that, it's quiet and warm in my kitchen and I'm able to just take time before I really connect in with all of the things that might need my attention. For a physical practice, I do yoga and Pilates and I walk. And those things, when my son was in active use, those things really grounded me. Those things really helped me to bring my body and my mind out of a state of emergency so that I could respond to the situation effectively, impactfully, and without drama. And the more that I was able to communicate from that place, the more effective we were in influencing treatment in our family, or proper care and treatment. And it started with therapy sessions and just really trying to get a handle on the emotional pain caused by the trauma. For myself, I had already started with therapy sessions, and then as I said, I started working with a spiritual coach, and both of those two things really helped me to dig into and kind of peel back the layers of pain and trauma that came from growing up in an environment of alcohol use disorder and the trauma of living with someone in an active use disorder. So those two, I needed that kind of really deep care and healing so that I could be supportive and healthy for my child who was suffering. So I spent a good part of 3 months, which I would call, a 90-day phase of stabilization and emotional regulation, where I became then a better first responder to my child. And that's what we are as family members, as lovers and spouses and parents. We are our loved ones' first responders, and we have to learn how to be that without bringing our own chaos, drama, and pain to the equation. So getting ourselves emotionally regulated and bringing our bodies out of a state of emergency and really finding a place of peace so that we can respond effectively and responsibly was my goal, so that I could really create change in my family. And I also devoted to this change because I have younger children, and I knew that, in our family, addiction could flourish, and in our family, we have the genetic predisposition, and then we've all experienced different levels of trauma and adverse childhood experiences. So I had to move into the third phase, which was the recovery phase, ahead of everyone, so that I could create an environment that supported recovery. And I knew that, my stabilization created my son's stabilization. So then the next right move and the next right step was to create an environment that supported recovery. And to do that, I had to really seek out the people in recovery. I had to ask, what do I do to create an environment that supports recovery, from his treatment providers, from the people that were giving us proper care and treatment. And I knew I couldn't do it by myself, and I knew I was really good at following cues because I learned through yoga how to move your body by listening to the next right cue. And so that's what I asked for. Give me the instructions. Give me the instructions that create an environment that will support recovery. I will do whatever it is I have to do that, to change this for my daughters and to provide a safe environment for my son. And thus started our family recovery journey. And I felt, after about 5 months into my own recovery, I realized that we needed to intervene in a way that was more powerful than we had intervened. And I had, been instructed to go to certain support group meetings, and I had listened to people tell me that there was nothing I could do, that I was powerless, that I had to wait until my child wanted to recover. And I stopped listening to that. I stopped listening, one, to anybody who told me there was nothing I could do. I stopped listening to anybody who used the word rock bottom. And I stopped listening to anybody who hadn't been impacted by addiction or wasn't in recovery. So I only listened to the treatment providers and people in recovery and people who were on the journey with me, or as Brene Brown says, in the arena with me. And I really came to understand that we had to do something different, because that way wasn't working. It wasn't working in our family. It wasn't working for myself, and intervention was necessary. And I think it's really important to recognize that intervention isn't necessarily that thing that you see on television with all the drama and the emotion. Intervention can be a really deep heart-to-heart conversation that says, this is what I see is happening, this is how I feel, and this is the proper care and treatment for that thing. And I'm asking you to do that for yourself and for us. And responding to your loved one in that way, when the same way that you would respond to any other health issue, with an offer of support and care, compassion, love, and proper medical treatment. We needed professionals, and we needed the professionals to guide us. So we surrendered. We surrendered to the professionals and just said, okay, tell us what to do. And we did it. So we went to family programs. We immersed ourselves in the recovery community. I've always been a voracious reader and avid learner. So I read great books from people who really had an impact on our family recovery. And because of that, we were able to change the environment in our family to support recovery. And what that looks like for us is, providing a stable, safe, non-judgmental home environment, to taking care of our own health, our spiritual health, our emotional health, our physical health, our mental health. I don't think I said my emotional health practice is therapy and still is therapy. And for mental health, I really think the medicine for mental, emotional, and spiritual health is connection and expression. And that's why the therapeutic processes work so well. And then that's why community is so important. We are made to connect. We are made to be with other humans and to care for each other and be with each other. And so, being able to express ourselves in a non-judgmental way, and then also to connect heart to heart, that takes care of us spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. And I believe that the reason that the recovery community is so very strong and so very impactful is because of that deep connection and that deep understanding and that real, heart-to-heart connection. So I invite you to, if you don't have a community of people that you're connecting with, to really make that a part of your recovery. Community is the strongest thread that holds wellness in recovery, and so make that a priority. Make that community a priority, because the things that make us sick are shame, isolation, and loneliness. And the things that make us well are feeling good and healthy about ourselves, connecting with other people, and feeling a sense of belonging. So I encourage you to, at the very least, reach out to one person and really talk to them and tell them what's going on with you, and connect on that level. And you will start that healing recovery process for yourself and for your family. I felt like after we had that intervention, which really was a disruption in our family, a disruption to a pattern, a disruption to, our way of being, I felt really, really neglected after that. I felt like I didn't know what to do with myself, and I didn't know how we were gonna get there. But recovery has really grounded us and brought us together with people that are like-minded, are healthy, are devoted to their health. And I just want you as family members to know that the way is changing. And I found inspiration in the community and from family members like you to really devote myself to love and to service in the community. So it's my mission, it's my deep heart mission and purpose to help heal family members and to create an environment that supports recovery. And I was inspired to do this conference by the family education group that's down in Richmond, Virginia, that's led by one of our speakers, Tom Bannard, and also Teresa McBean. They created a group where professionals came and did presentations, and the family members left with actionable solutions. I, in my time of need, wanted answers. I wanted solutions, and they provided an environment where you could connect with people, you could express yourself, but you left with answers and solutions for guiding your family into recovery. And so this conference is modeled around that. I also feel very fortunate to have been able to be part of the Collegiate Recovery Conference, and Tim Raybolt, who is the executive director of ARHE, he is also one of our speakers, and he's speaking on collegiate recovery programs and why they're important for your family. And coming home from that conference, I was impacted by so many amazing speakers and people in recovery and peers and family members. And so I came home and thought, how can I just bring them to you? How could I bring them to you, to the family members who are afraid to reach out, or who are suffering at home alone, who feel like they're a hostage in their home, who are just still sitting in the problem and don't see the light of the solution? How could we create something that would just, put you right in recovery? And there is no fast track. I wish there was. There is no fast track. Recovery is a process, and I would say it takes a year of different phases before you really gain your traction. There's brain science behind that. There's stabilization period, and then a treatment period, and then, recovery, and then long-term recovery. And it's an ongoing, multi-dimensional thing, and you're going to have to define which pieces and parts of it really work best for you. And I hope that you'll take up that challenge. I hope that you will take the time to really listen for yourself, not just for your family member, because you're going to get there, but really listen for yourself and really, really take the medicine. Really take the medicine in and let me know. And let me know what you need. And if there's any way that we can serve you on a deeper level, or a topic that you want more discussion about, please reach out to me and send me an email or write me a message and let me know, because we're here for you. We're going to do this together. The way is changing. We are not going to be silent about recovery, and we're not going to be silent about substance use disorder. And when we are able to really get together in my home, in your home, and out in the community, we can do it. We can create an environment that supports recovery. So welcome and thank you, and a huge thank you to all the speakers who devoted their time to putting their presentations together, and to the people who did interviews with me so that we could share recovery with you. I am just so honored to be a channel for healing for all of you. And I do want to take a moment and acknowledge that I know some of you are here and you may have lost somebody, and your heart needs all the love and all the infusion of love that we can offer you. And you just know that we're here, and that we've also brought Andrea Grace Phillips here, who has walked the walk that you're walking. And we hope that her voice and her message is just the most nourishing, compassionate medicine you can receive, and that it helps comfort you in some way. And also know that all of you, no matter what part of this you're on, you can devote to recovery. No matter where your family member is in their path, you are your family member's best chance at recovery. And that is one of Bev Buncher's statements that she makes every time I hear her speak. You can be the most influential person in your family member's recovery, as long as you take care of yourself in a very deep way as well. So enjoy, learn, listen, open your heart, open your mind, do the yoga sessions. We brought yoga to you so that if you've never tried it, we can help bring your body into balance and settle your nervous system down. And really just every single one of the talks has some beautiful kind of medicine. And also one quick thing, I don't want to forget to mention that Sam Bierman from Maryland Addiction and Recovery Center in Baltimore we're going to do a live session on November 4th, on this coming Sunday. And if you can't make the live session, we're going to put it up, the recording up afterwards. But we're going to be live, and he's going to be presenting on reconstructing the family. But we're also going to take questions and answer them live. So I invite you to join us for that too. So that's my message to you today. Again, welcome. I love you. Know that we are together and recovery is possible. Namaste.